ಕಣದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವಲ್ಲ.
ಹೌದಾ?
ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್
ಹೌದಾ?
ನೋಡು ಇದ್ರೊಳಗೆ
ನೋಡಿ
ಸರಿನಾ? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಏನ್ ಮುಟ್ಬಿಡು ಏನ್ ಮುಟ್ಬಿಡ್ದು ನೀ ಆ ಕಡೆಗಳ ಬರ್ಬೇಕು.
ಅಲ್ಲ ಡೌನ್
ಯಾವ್ದು
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸರಿ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ
ಅಲ್ಲ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಬೇಕು
ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರಿ ಬಿಡಿ ಸರ್.
ಸರಿ ಬೇಕಾ ಹಿಂಗೆ? ನೀನ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಮುಂದೆ ನೋಡಿದ್ಯಾ ಆರಾಮ ಮಾತಾಡ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಅಷ್ಟು ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ.
ಸರಿ 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 ಸರಿ
ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಮಾತಾಡೋ ಕೆಲಸ. Dear participants, good morning to all of you. Hope I am audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Good
sir.
morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Welcome all to
Good
the
morning, sir.
4th week of this faculty induction program. Of course, you have already completed 3 weeks. For this session, we have with us Professor K. Amrutesh sir as a resource person. Dr. K. Amrutesh sir is presently serving as a professor in the Department of Studies in Botany, and he also served earlier as chairman of the Department of Studies in Botany. He has put in more than 30 plus years of teaching, research, and administrative experience to his credit. And last year, he has been awarded the prestigious fellowship of the National Academy of Sciences, FNASC, for the academic year 2025 from Government of India. And in addition, he also obtained earlier the fellowship of the Karnataka Science and Technology Academy, FKSTA, and fellowship of the National Academy of Biological Sciences, FNABS. And recently, he also represented the University of Mysore and visited more than 15 prestigious universities in the UK under the Karnataka Leadership Development Program organized by the Karnataka State Higher Education Council and the British Council of Research Collaboration. In fact, he obtained his master's in botany and MPhil in seed technology and PhD in biotechnology and PDF. Of course, he earned his doctoral degree from the Department of Applied Botany and Biotechnology, and that was with ICAR fellowship, and completed a postdoctoral program at the University of North Texas, USA. His research focuses on plant new parasitic angiosperms, including so-and-so, and he coordinates the state-funded Center of Innovative Studies in Engineering and Education, focusing on herbal drug technology. His scholarly output includes 150 plus publications with a cumulative impact factor above 275, an I-10 index of 82, and nearly 5,000 citations. He holds 5 patents to his credit and has authored 14 books in the area of botany and biotechnology. And he, under the evidence of Dr. Amrutesh sir, 18 students obtained their PhD degree, 4 MPhil degree, and 3 postdoctoral scholars. He leads multiple projects funded by the DST, UGC, DBT, IOE, and the state government. He has been awarded a good number of prestigious honors for his contribution to the field of botany and in general education. To mention a few: DBT Crest International Award, the Indian Science Congress Young Scientist Award, the DST Young Scientist Award, and Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Best Teacher Award. In addition to his academic and research accomplishments, he holds key administrative positions at the University of Mysore. He served earlier, presently as a CSIR UGC-NET Training Center head, and oversees the internationalization of education and PM Vidya Lakshmi scheme. And he also served as a former director of internal quality assurance cell. And I would like to add one more important point here. He has been globally recognized top 5% scientist recognized from evaluated by the Stanford and Oxford Institute. With this brief, I welcome already Professor K. Amrutesh sir to this online lecture session on behalf of all the participants online and also on behalf of the MNPTC Center and University of Mysore. Over to Professor K. Amrutesh sir. Please.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನನ್ನ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರಗಳು. A very good morning to everyone. First of all,
Good morning, sir.
let me take this opportunity to thank UGC, MMTTC, the Director Professor H. V. Jyoti and Deputy Director Dr. L. Nanjasamy and other staff members for their for providing the opportunity to talk to my own fellow colleagues on an important, very application-oriented subject. That's a highly general topic that I have selected because I have understood that the diversified group of assistant professors that are there in the online session That is why I have selected a topic of general interest for the benefit of everyone, because dear fellow colleagues, today the UGC is making mandate to have a OBE, now a new terminology called LOB, learning outcome based education. In that way, you need to generate your own syllabus or syllabi when you are going to offer your own course in the BA program or BSc program or MSc program or MA program or whatever the position that you are holding. You have to create your own syllabus based on the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, that they have identified. The fourth belongs to higher education. Though the lobe belongs to everyone, but today's topic, it is of very general interest for you to understand, because naವೆಲ್ಲ we have understood ಪ್ರಳಯ 5 ಬಾರಿ ಈ ಪ್ರಪಂಚದಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಪ್ರಪಂಚ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಲೈಫ್ ಜೀವರಾಶಿಗಳು ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೆ about 3.5 billion. I know the limitation because outside state participants are also there, but 5 mass extinction have already been taken place. 5 ಬಾರಿ ಪ್ರಳಯ ಆಗಿದೆ. Now the scientific community is anticipating 6th mass extinction crisis because of our own way is underway. That's what. Dear students, for another 10 to 15 minutes, I will be talking extempo. Then I will be using the slides, PowerPoint slide. What I want to mention for you people, what I want you to make practice in your, since you have to go a long way in your career, another 30-35 years of services you have to spend in the government sector. So for which you need to have a good practice. So practice makes man perfect. Charity begins at home. There is a saying. That's why our father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhiji, says, earth provides enough to satisfy everyone's needs, but not everyone's greed. This was the statement made by Mahatma Gandhiji. You know, the social reformer Jagatjyoti Basveshwara, who says work is worship, is also of the opinion honor and dishonor are the two phases of the same illusion. At the same time, Baba Saheb, the Constitution of India, father of Indian Constitution, who also of the opinion that those who know the history can create history. With the 3 important slogans, I want to talk about this important topic, how we are losing, why there is a variation in the raining pattern, there is a change in the climate, there is a change in every aspect. You are hearing the current trend news, contemporary information about European countries, including France. People are suffering from heat waves. You are hearing. That is more than 42 degrees. They have lost already 5,000 people because of heat wave. This is also true in case of North India, where Uttar Pradesh, more than 80 age people, we are going to lose every year minimum of 5,000 because of heat wave. Why is this happening? That we want to know. That's why background information we want to know. That's why I have selected a very general topic. You can interfere in between after 10-15 minutes, but let me give some preamble about the why I have selected the 6th mass extinction crisis. We are creating ourselves this extinction crisis. Whatever the extinction that have taken place due to natural catastrophes, whereas the 6th mass extinction is human creation actually. That is why if you know the background about the crisis, that over the period of time, that means the vast number of species prevailing on planet Earth is the result of evolutionary processes that have been operating since the life originated about 3.5 billion years ago. I am going to give some statistics. It is very important for you people, because though I am from life science background, but it's a very general aspect. As new species evolved, a small number of species that became misfits in the prevailing environment became extinct, background extinction. However, the rapid increase in the human population and humanity's greed, that is why I told you, humanity's greed was so much, for luxurious living, have resulted in the marked environmental degradation. This is the one of the top greeds of the humanity, particularly so in the recent decades, increasing species extension of 100 or 1,000 folds. We are losing the abundance, very, very biodiversity of this Earth planet where we cannot create. We are having only one Earth. That's why every year with the one or the other slogans, people they come forward with the slogans to create awareness about the one Earth planet, because only one Earth planet, only one life that are available on in this planet actually. So that is why you have to be man and biosphere. There are so many organizations. They are including United Nations, Man and Biosphere, MAB, Intergovernmental Panel on Climatic Change, and the IUCN, International Union of Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. Many organizations, including the Rio de Janeiro, and I mean the Earth Summit that was started in 1992. They are urging the importance how to have a practice with the living system. That is the importance that I want to tackle today. I want to give some information about this. So, as I am telling you, we are losing the species day by day. We cannot create because it doesn't come. It is a long evolutionary process. As I told you, Manganinda Manava. That is the great Nobel laureate, Alfred Russel Wallace and Charles Darwin. They have the opinion that whatever the plants and animals are living today are the descendants of the earlier ancestors. We are not we are not Ganapa. We are not Lord Ganesha. We cannot create a species within no minute. It has been through over the period of time because of the recombination, mutation, and natural selection. Sudden, we cannot create an organism. The whatever today the organism that has taken its own time. If you talk about individually, that's why we have to be very careful in that way. So that is why. So the rapid increase in human population and also humanity's greed for luxurious living have resulted in marked environmental degradation, particularly in the recent decades, increasing species extinction 100 or even 1,000-fold compared to background extinction, thus prevailing the sixth mass extinction crisis. ಆರನೇ ಜಲಪ್ರಳಯ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ತಪ್ಪಾಗ್ಲಾರ್ದು. Unlike the past, ಈ ಕಳೆದ 5 mass extinction that were due to natural catastrophes that were not man-made. It was natural one. All the 5 extinction took place because of natural catastrophes. The 6th mass extinction would be exclusively the result of human activities. That's what I wanted to pressurize, that I want to pump, I want to make you understand. Because of human activities, I will come forward in the subsequent slides how human interference have evolved the years underway for the 6th mass extinction crisis, and we are losing, and so much diseases, so much undue climate change because of the human activities actually. The main 6th drivers are habitat loss and degradation, over exploitation of bioresources. You know very well, the sustainability is the international kind terminology by the United Nations. Now it has given lot of importance for sustainability, and people are talking about we have experienced a very bad situation in the mid 1960 before independence and after independence. We were suffering from severe hunger. We were importing the food from United States. Under PL 480, food used to be imported. Now, today, self-sufficient, and with the great respect and honor to the father of Green Revolution, Dr. Norman E. Borlaug, and Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, and Dr. Babu Jagajjeevan Rao. They were responsible to have a Green Revolution in India in the mid 1960s, actually. 1965 actually. Now we are self-reliant, and we are having more than 4-fold surplus of food in India. But for your information, We had a green revolution. According to recent, when you are talking in the environmental science, when you are talking about the environmental program, we don't want a green revolution because enormous chemical fertilizer have been poured on the hybridization program, and enormous amount of the good arable land have been converted to agriculture land, where agriculture has started about around 11,000 years ago, which has resulted many conversion, many good land we have lost actually because of agriculture. So that is why we don't want green revolution. We wanted evergreen revolution. That's why organic farming, evergreen revolution. We are talking about high tech to eco tech. Sustainability is the most important. We have to use the don't milking the same cow. That is the concept actually. If you are using the same land, the health of the soil has come down. Many number of plant growth promoting rhizobacteria, many number of organisms that are available in beneath the root zone, we are getting depleted. That is why it has become sick soil, and using the same and same. That's why sustainability is important. That's why we have high tech. It has to be eco tech. No more green revolution we wanted. We wanted evergreen revolution. There shall be sustainability. That's why the sixth main drivers of sixth mass extinction drivers are habitat loss and its degradation, over exploitation of bioresources. That is also important. And climatic change, that we are talking about global warming. No more using the word global bubbling we are using. No warming actually. Earlier we used to have a global warming terminology. Now global bubbling, as we have seen in the right way, the European countries they are facing actually. Many number of examples I want to give in the subsequent slides actually. Slides actually have been the main drivers of the sixth mass extinction crisis actually we are facing. So among these, human-induced environmental changes, that is climate change, is going to affect humanity more than any other changes. That's what we are seeing every day. Apart from exterminating a large number of both terrestrial and aquatic species, these changes bring down crop productivity and aquatic sustainability, thus seriously compromising ecosystem services essential for human welfare. For your information, we are paying tax for each and everything, but we are not at all paying any tax, GST or income tax for the ecosystem services that the services that we have been provided. Like the best example, pollination mechanism. Today, if there are any flowering and seed production, if it is possible only through insect population. If there is a threat for the insect population, even if you are having any technology, because the pollination mechanism, I mean taking from the anthers, that is pollen from the anthers to the stigma, is only through more than 80% services. I mean pollination mechanism is done by insect population. If the insects are being threatened, because of the industrial revolution took place in the 19th century, that has resulted the depletion in the insect population because of our own luxurious greediness actually. So that is why you have to be very careful. Though we have a technology, we are talking about today AI, artificial intelligence, but artificial intelligence will never come to rescue the insect population. We have to create such an environment so that we can have the very good, because another threat is the human population. That I am going to give the statistics. What is the current trend? How it is we are going? We have occupied a number one position. India has become number one in the population metrics. There is a very dangerous situation that I can say. We are compromising. That is, whatever the clean air, good water, for 1 liter of water, minimum of 35 years. 35 years we have to spend for 1 liter of water. So nobody knows it actually. For if you are going to lose one tree, I am going to give the statistics how much the value of a one tree actually. That's why the environmental program, that you can come forward. Being an assistant professor, you will become professor and head and principal and head of the department. That's why you have to go for a long way, and without for our own sustenance, for human welfare, for human well-being actually, we have to go for. See, people always, when you talk about the property, it has been inherited from our elders, from forefathers. But here is the reverse case. we are going to borrow from younger generation, because younger generation have to be very alert in getting the good environment, in getting everything. That's why it's a reverse case. We have to borrow from younger generation. Unless the current generation are going to make the environment friendly, it is very difficult. Not like property. Property has been inherited from forefathers, father, and to us to enjoy. But here it is a reverse case actually. You have to be very careful. We are sitting on a time bomb. Time bomb. We don't know how it's going, when it's going to explode. That's why I'm giving alarming situation. The people, scientific community sat at one time, at one place, at Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, 1992, they have formulated and they have cautioned every citizen of the world actually, what are you doing? You have to be very careful all this actually. That is the concept. Mitigating human-induced environmental changes has become one of the highest priorities for the humanity to sustain biodiversity and human welfare. This is the one condition. For your information, dear participants, the vast biodiversity comprising plants, animals, and microbes prevailing on Earth planet at present is the result of not a sudden phenomena. It has taken a minimum of 3.5 billion years ago. As the best, how many species are there that we want to know. The best working estimate of the number of species that exist on the earth is around 9 million species that are there. But do you think we know all we don't know. We know only 1.5 million species actually. We don't know. Only we know there is a there is a need of taxonomist actually. The one who identifies, names, and classifies the organism. He is going to describe the taxon or a new species actually. He is going to introduce, but there are no taxonomists actually. Nowadays, there are depletion in the taxonomist actually. We know only 1.5 million species, and to be known another 5 million species. You can imagine so much people, so much scientific community we wanted actually. We have not explored more than 5 million species are there actually. But for your information, 50 million species we have lost. 1 million is equal to 10 lakhs actually. We have lost 50 million species actually. That is another alarming situation. Over the 5 mass extinctions that have taken place due to natural catastrophes actually. My many friends, my many students, the botany people I am seeing, including Dr. H.M. Mahesh, he knows, so we have lost 50 million species over the long history of evolution actually. That's why.
Yes, sir.
ಗೊತ್ತು ನನಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಅವನು ಇನ್ನು ಆಫ್ಟರ್ 10 minutes ಇನ್ನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಇನ್ನು. So sorry for the interference. That means you have to be very careful. So under which more than 2.5 million species are available, only are marine species. Nobody has gone to
Sorry, sir. Flights are not moving.
I know. I told you, after 10-15 minutes only, I will come back. I'm giving you from preamble. I'll come back to you. Slide show only after 10-15 minutes. I'm giving you the preamble. Then I have told in the beginning itself, I'll be talking about another 10 minutes. Then I will come back to you with the background information. That's why I told you the quotes of Dr. Baba Saheb. And one must know the history to create history. That's why I told wait for 10 minutes. So I will give you some preamble information. Then only it will be easier to follow the subsequent slides actually. What are the, see, marine forms. I'm telling you, marine forms, the estimation is 2.5 million species. That means 1 million is equal to 10 lakhs. So 25 million species that are there in the marine. That is the estimation, working estimate actually. Nobody has gone through. There are number of trainings we need to undertake to describe the new species that are there in the marine. So henceforth, we know only 1.5 million species. No means it has been identified, named, and classified. We have given the binomial name because whenever we are talking about like Homo sapiens, that is human being name actually. Like the Tectona grandis, teak plant name, like the Drosophila melanogaster, like we have for Nagaravu, like snake, Nasa. There shall be a scientific name. It has been identified. Now the document, according to the literature, according to scientific knowledge, we have only 1.5 species we know. But to be known, I have told you 5 million species. That you can imagine. without knowing the actual biodiversity, we are losing the biodiversity. That is my point actually. We have not at all known the species, how much they are there, and we are losing the biodiversity. People are talking about everyday biodiversity, and people are talking about only development. Nobody is having Prabhudat. You are knowing every day only road rage, and for a simple, very trivial issue, people are killing another person. Nobody is having the broad mentality. This is, and we should be very cooperative in a system to have an environmental program very successful actually. Everybody is speaking about development, including any government officer, any government bureaucrats. Everyone is talking about politicians. Everybody talking about only development. Nobody is talking about broad mentality. Prabhuddhate anta ನಾವು ಕರಿತೇವೆ. Humanity, nobody is talking about. On humanity ground, some trivial issue. For unknowingly, if somebody does a mistake, immediately, ultimately, is going to kill that person. That is the concept now people are having. That's why science with human face. United Nations logo means whenever there is a program, science with human face. It is for our livelihood. It is for our luxurious one actually. That is a difference that I don't want to deviate. So as new species evolved on the earth as a result of, as I told you, mutations ಆಗ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ recombination ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, natural selection acting on the heritable genetic material that led to the variations actually. Some species, while doing so, some species become misfits in the environment. We are going to lose that actually. So this is what we want to rescue, those plants we are losing due to the various active role we have to have to use, like otherwise we have lost the dinosaurs, many number of species we have lost. We have lost the woolly mammoth, we have lost woolly bison, we have lost woolly many number of species we have lost. We are seeing only in the picture actually. That is a different story. When you talk about the rate of background extinction, earlier in only one species in 400 years we used to lose actually. And another information that we have got, only one species in 700 years in the earlier mass extinction. Now the extinction process is so high, we are losing so many species, especially in the between 19th century and 21st century. We have lost many number of species that I am having the record. On document, I am talking about the proceedings of National Academy of Sciences, USA. I am with the articles, and I am going to share. I am going to hand over the same to MMTTC to share you people, so that including slide, whatever I am giving you the slide, it is our own research activity that has been done from the last 30 years actually. We have been in the system, and many of them, my students know it actually. So that is why during each of the last 5 mass extinctions that happened in the geological history of the planet, more than 3/4 of species became extinct in the geological short interval, whereas background extinction referred to the normal extinction rates during the periods between the mass extinction events. So when you talk about ಪ್ರಳಯ ಆಗ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಪರಿಣಾಮಗಳು ಯಾವ್ಯಾವು, ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಆಗ್ತವೆ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಮಾತನ್ನ ನಾನು ಐ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಗಿವ್, ಲೈಕ್ ದಿ 6th mass extinction crisis, how it happens. See, modern humans have had an impact on environmental environment from early times. Even hunger gatherers time, andre inde bete ಆಡುವಂತ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ only 4 million people used to live on this earth planet when people started hunter gatherer lifestyle. Today we are having 8 million people, 8 million population actually. With the 8,000 million people population, we compare with the 4 million and 8,000 people, million people. See the agriculture, how agriculture has come to our rescue. Otherwise, it would have been difficult to feed on this. We are talking about only human population. What about other people, other organisms that are living on this world actually? So indirectly, that is animals for that matter, our own associated animals that they have to live, no? That's why we have to be very careful without compromising the ecosystem services. We have to rescue many number of issues actually. So when you talk about the extinction of megafauna such as woolly mammoth American bison and woolly rhinoceros have been attributed to because of humans' activities. Of course, there was also allegations about the climate change actually. The establishment of agriculture about 11,000 years ago marked a dramatic change in the lifestyle and eventually led to the establishment of settlements in the form of villages, towns, cities actually. The industrial revolution of the 19th century further increased the impact of humans on the environment, and at the same time concomitant issue with regard to the changes in the sixth mass extinction due to the rapid and steady increase in the world population. See, for your information, according to UN United Vishwasamಸ್ಥೆಯ ಒಂದು ವರದಿ ಪ್ರಕಾರ 2017ನೇ ವರದಿ ಪ್ರಕಾರ the world population was just 6.2 billion in 2002, whereas reached 7 billion in the 2012. And now, for your information, for your surprise, 8 billion at present actually, and it is expected to reach 9 billion by 2035 and 10 billion in 2050 and 11.5 billion in 2100. So if it goes like this, the human population, we don't have another earth. We don't have any other species other than the existing one. We have to be very careful, and we cannot compromise with the ecosystem services. We cannot create an organism unless it has to come through evolutionary processes. This has to be taken care of. That's why this is a property. That is, we have to borrow from the forthcoming generations. That's why we have to be very careful. See the situation. This enormous increase in population continued with the human greed for luxurious lifestyle have been placing a heavy burden on bioresources and ecosystems, obviously. So that is why human dependence on and over exploitation of bioresources, particularly in the recent decades, have aggravated environmental degradation, pushing a large number of species towards marked decline. It's getting depleted day by day. We are losing, and extinction, thus seriously compromising ecosystem services essential for human existence, for your information actually. So that is why we have to be very careful when you talk about all this actually. That's why ನಿಮ್ಗೆಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, as early as in 1992, where India is also signatory of Rio de Janeiro Earth Summit, where world's leading scientists, including 99 Nobel laureates, realized the seriousness of the situation and urged humanity to curtail the environmental destruction that was threatening the life support system of the planet. So that's why they felt that humanity was pushing Earth's ecosystem beyond the capacity to support the web of life. These scientists identified ozone depletion, very important. We are O3 level. There is a depletion due to the industrial revolution, and at the same time, freshwater availability. There is a depletion, and at the same time, marine life depletion, ocean dead zones, forest loss, biodiversity destruction, climate change, and continued human population growth. These are the important factors to be targeted to mitigate the same actually as causes for current impending or potential damage on the planet Earth actually. So that is why again, after a gap of 25 years in 2017, the first warning, as many as, see, earlier only 1,192, to this time in 2007, 15,364 scientists from 184 countries including India sounded a second warning. They stated that since the first warning, with the exception of stabilizing the stratosphere ozone layer, that has been okay according to them, and humanity has failed to make sufficient progress in generally solving these foreseen environmental changes, and alarmingly most of them are getting far worse actually. So this has resulted, so there is a strong problem we are going to face actually. So this is based on the documentation actually, that we are not creating any information other than the official report that I am having actually. So today, so another important one, we are going to have the important places of the world places. Only 25% is left out. The 75% global planet Earth space has been utilized by the human activities. Now, by 2050 or by 2100, only 12% will be left out. 100% matra human activity in the dura irutte because of the the increase in the population actually. Now, as per the current information, 25% untouched, where we have not touched the earth surface. Because of that, we are surviving. But by 2050 or 2000, it is going to reduce to 12% according to one information by the United Nations. I told you pollination is another important one. Over 90% of the flowering, today we are having agriculture, whatever we are having cereals like paddy, maize, sorghum, wheat, whatever our day-to-day life, very important cereals and pulses that are depending upon the insects pollination mechanism. So nowadays we are losing the insect pollination because of the pollution that due to industrial revolution actually. Industrial. That's why we have to be ready for anything. We have to be people are should help in undertaking these important aspects actually. There is a drastic decline in the insect population. Once there is a decline in the insect population, there will be a biological that is one word very important, biological annihilation. This means permanent destruction of the important ecosystem services. This is called the biological annihilation is going to face actually. We are going to face, and concluded that the sixth mass extinction is more severe than we perceived actually. ನಾವು ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡು ರೀತಿಗಿಂತನೂ ಮುಂದೆ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ that's what the report says actually. So that's why we have to be very careful when you talk about the important drivers of the mass extinction. Very important. Three important factors I told you: the habitat loss and its degradation, the conversion of the natural habitats for agriculture since the dawn of agriculture, and subsequently for urbanization, industrialization, and mining has been steadily decreasing natural habitat. In addition to it, extensive areas of virgin species. Today we wanted teak. That's why Ecuador, many of the African countries, they are converting agriculture land into the very important the cultivated land become they are making teak, forest, important trees, coffee, Arabica, and all those actually. Then they are creating the conversion of the agriculture land into a virgin forest, into the plantation crops actually, such as coffee, tea, oil palm, and rubber. So rampant pollution and extensive use of pesticide, because we have to feed the ever-growing population. Unless there is a fertilizer, chemical fertilizer, we cannot have a green revolution. That's what the system actually. That's why sustainability is very important. Organic farming is important actually, without compromising the ecosystem services actually. That's why today pesticides, herbicides are additional drivers of habitat degradation. That's why we have to be very careful. And alien species, today I don't know how many of you are visiting nowadays. If you go to Bandipura, Nagravale, or Western Ghats, lantana has become the evil force. Many of the natural species are being eroding because of the lantana camera of introduction from the outside actually. That is called alien species actually. We are having Parthenium, that was due to import of wheat during the before independence actually, under PL 480 project actually. This is the major problem that we are facing. That is why we have to be very careful. So that is why, so for your information, another important problem that we are facing, the pollution of the atmosphere, that is soil and water, has become a major threat to human health and environment. At the same time, according to WHO, World Health Organization, safety level of PM anta we call actually particulate matter. We are supposed to, it is supposed to be 2.5 micrometer in size in the air. Now it is 10 microgram per cubic meter. See, that's why there is a drastic climate change. In many of our cities, particularly during the winter, the level of such PM reaches beyond 100 microgram per cubic meter. See the situation. Air pollution caused 3.5 million deaths annually. And at the same time, the major sources of water pollution are untreated sewage, industrial effluents, and agriculture motives. So another very important one, and I'll go back to the slides, with 1 or 2 minutes. Plastic pollution is prevalent from the top of mountain to the bottom of the sea. For your information, About 8 million tons of plastic ends up in the ocean each year and kills more than 100,000 mammals annually. ಒಂದು ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ under 1 lakh we are killing because of 8 tons in each year. For your surprise, the birds, fishes, we are losing actually. There is one greater, as I told you, biological annihilation. There is one, the headline we call the Great Pacific Garbage Patch is a massive floating island formed by the accumulation of nearly 80,000 tons of discarded plastic, covering an area of about 1.6 million square kilometer. It is equivalent to of 2 times of South India. You can imagine how much this is called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, we call actually. It is due to the discardation of the accumulation of 80,000 tons of discarded plastic, covering an area of 1.6 million square kilometer. This is what the system. At the same time, even though hunter-gatherer lifestyle has been stopped by Forest Department, there is a Biological Diversity Act of 2002. People are still, we are seeing in the news and also reading newspaper, people are not stopping the over exploitation of biological resources, hunting for the tiger, for their meat and deer, and this is the routine problem. People nowadays, even today, people are, see, hunting has been one of the oldest activities of human responsible for the driving a large number of species to extinction actually. We are responsible actually. As mentioned by me, some large mammals had been hunted down even when humans were hunter-gatherers actually. That's why we don't have the woolly mammoth, like more than elephant. We had a mammoth actually. That's why whenever there is a greater job, big job, people say, oh, mammoth work. Yes, obviously, there was an elephant, mammoth, more than elephant. We have lost it actually. Woolly bison, we have American bison, we have lost it actually, like dinosaurs actually. So animals are hunted and poached for their meat, hide, medicinal and ornamental value as game species actually. So they are very importantly, over exploitation has depleted population of a large number of species beyond sustainability. I want to give 2 to 3 important examples that are very important. See, there is one animal called Himalayan musk deer. Scientifically, we called Moschus leucogaster anta ನಾವು ಕರಿತೀವಿ. They are occurring in high ranges of Himalaya matra. They are available. Occur in the high ranges of Himalayas. Here is a peculiar situation. Only Himalayan musk deer, males, gandu jinke, ನಾನು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದು, the males produce mask pod in the abdomen which emits sweet persistent aroma. ಯಾವ ಗಂಡು ಜಿಂಕೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಆರೋಮ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, that is very important one. There is a great demand for musk pod in the cosmetic industry. According to IUCN, it fetches $45,000 per kg because of its odor nature, very sweet, persistent nature. People, those who are hunting the animals, they will not be identifying whether it's a male or female. They will kill the Himalayan musk deer. Then they will come to know only they have killed the female musk deer. But actually, it produces only in the male musk deer. This is the situation actually. From the far off place, they will shoot the animal without their identity of the whether it's a male or female actually. That is the problem actually. Now the animals are extensively poached drastic and leading to a drastic decline in the population. See, this is one situation. Another important situation I want to mention, because you have to remember over exploitation of biological resources, what is going to happen. See, one fungus by name Cordyceps sinensis, we also call as a caterpillar fungus, is found again along the Himalayan region at about 3,000 to 5,000 MSL, meter above sea level, in the Tibet and parts of the Indian Himalayas actually. This particular club-shaped fungus is so important. The club-shaped fruiting body of the fungus emerges from the ground during this time, June, July time. It's going to give the fruiting actually. See, this is very important in the medicine. It has been used in the range of medicine, including what is often called Himalayan Viagra. very important. That is, it's a secret one. Himalayan Viagra. This can be used as an Viagra for over 2000 years in Tibet. It's been a ethno medicine. That is Cordyceps sinensis. The fruiting body is in great demand in the international market and is more expensive than the gold actually. More than $100 per gram actually. So people will go each spring. People come from miles around to search for these precious fruiting bodies of fungi. And because of over-exploitation, the fruiting bodies have become extremely rare now. We are not at all seeing even in the 5000 MSL actually. Because of the importance in the medicine as a Viagra, it works like a Viagra. So similarly, another important peculiar situation I want to mention. Agarwood tree, it is also called in the scientific name Aquilaria malacensis actually, which is endemic. Means endemic, most of the life sciences or botany people know endemic antandre only in the particular area that particular plants or animals are being grown actually. That means restricted distribution. Endemic means other than that particular place, you don't find any other way anywhere actually. That is called endemic species. Though similarly, agarwood tree, which is endemic to Northeast India, Bangladesh, Bhutan, and parts of South Asia, is overexploited. Why it happens? What is the importance of this tree means the artwood produces a dense fragrant resin to in response to infection by ಈ ಮರ ಏನಾದರೂ ಫಂಗಲ್ ಇನ್ಫೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆದ್ರೆ ಅದ್ರದ್ದು ಓಡರ್ ಅದ್ರದ್ದು ಸೆಂಟು ದ ರೆಸಿನ್ ನೋನ್ ಆಸ್ ಕಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ನೋಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ನೀವು 10 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ ದೂರದಲ್ಲಿದ್ರು ಅದ್ರದ್ದು ವಾಸನೆ ಪರಿಮಳ ಬೀರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಷ್ಟು ಎಫೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಅಗಾರ್ವುಡ್ ಟ್ರೀ. ಫಂಗಸ್ ಇನ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು. ಬಟ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ದೇ ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ ವೆದರ್ ದ ಟ್ರೀ ಇಸ್ ಇನ್ಫೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಫಂಗಸ್. ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೊಡೆದ್ರೇನೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗೋದು ಒಳಗಡೆ ಫಂಗಸ್ ಇದೆಯೋ ಇಲ್ವೋ ಅಂತ. ವಿತೌಟ್ ದೇರ್ ಐಡಿಯಾ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಕಟ್ ದ ಟ್ರೀ. If they only 3%, for your only 3% plants will be infected, trees will be infected due to fungus. And you can imagine 95% are being cut without their knowledge actually. So that is another. See, because it is called liquid gold anta karitive idna. Idruddu price 300,000 per kg. Only about 3 to 7% of the tree get infected. See the situation now. People are over exploiting the biological resources for their value. This has to be curtailed by with the stringent rules and regulations, and this has become a critically endangered actually. This is the situation where actually. So recently, for your information, teak is being imported by only Indians, for your information. That's why Ecuador, South African countries, they have made the plantation crops because to attract Indians actually. If you curtail the attraction towards the teak, we can also reduce the pollution. We can also have the sustainability. This is the practice actually. And for your information, recent many number of animals we have lost actually. Many number of recently I am talking about in 24 June 2012, one important very important tortoise, that was only male tortoise, Yame, we have lost in 2012. And we have lost in 2019 one of the very important rhino, one and only species it was there, that also lost in 2018. Like in 2004, in 1914, we have lost one important, the passenger pigeons are the very beautiful bird that I am going to share that that bird through information, and I'll hand over to Dr. H.M. Mahesh. You can see how nice, how beautiful that bird, passenger pigeons, we have lost recently. See, because of we are creating ourselves. We were losing the many number of birds. We are losing the many number of fishes. Behind our limitations actually, no more availability of it has become extinct actually. So that is why the International Union of Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources has categorized species into 9 distinct groups actually. Number 1, extinct. There cannot be existence of one. They have gone from this earth planet. Extinct in the wild. They are not at available in the wild. They are available in the zoos. They are available under control condition. Extinct in the wild actually. No more available in the wild actually. Critically endangered. If you are not taken care of the causal factors, we are going to lose within few years. That is critically endangered. Endangered. They are in the threat of in the verge of extinction. There is a threat for many of the plant species, like many of the medicinal plants, many of the endangered species, endemic species that are there in the Western Ghats. There is a threat actually that is called endangered. Vulnerable, it is going to become endangered. There is a greater threat for these population. Near threatened, there will be chances of it is going to become endangered. Least concern, don't worry about it. Data deficient, we have not at all raised the data, understood the data about that particular population, not at all evaluated. These are all the very important one. That's why biological annihilation means the permanent destruction of entire species, ecosystem or life forms, after often due to human activities like habitat destruction, pollution and climate change. These are the very important one. So similarly, we are talking about very important one, climate change, and at the same time, the climate change is very important. Deforestation, another important threat, and extensive use of fossil fuels have led to an increase in the level of atmospheric carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide. These gases, along with the water vapor, like if it is a cloudy nature, if it is giants trap the radiate heat from the earth, leading to global warming or global bubbling, we can consider. That's why nitrous oxide is over 300 times more effective than the carbon dioxide in heat trapping. Heat trapping not only increase the atmospheric temperature, but also results in the ocean warming and ocean acidification. That's why we have to be very, very careful. We have to take care of many important mitigating factors. Otherwise, many of the important cities, whatever we are talking about today, we will be losing in another 25 or 50 years or 100 years actually. Whatever the cities that are near coastal region, near Australian coastal places, we might lose. New York, our southern part, and Mangalore, we might lose in the near future because a steady increase in the level of the ocean by 1.5 centimeter, and by 2050 or 2100, there will be 2.5. Like that, we will be losing many of these cities due to, if you are not taken care of. The global temperature of 3.7 to 4.8 degrees centigrade relative to pre-industrial area levels will be increased to by 2100. That's why we have to be very careful. According to one estimate, increase in the global mean temperature by 1 degree centigrade would on an average reduce global yields of many agriculture crops by 6%, nearby rice by 3.2%, maize by 7.4%, and soybean by 3.15%. That we are going. Many number of very important the vitamins, protein, iron, zinc, and we are going to lose by 2100 if you are not taken care of the system. The best example I can quote, Australia experienced one of the worst population depletion of several species in the recent months due to climate change. It has experienced record-breaking temperature of more than 42 degrees centigrade, the way the European people are experienced in the November 2018, resulting in the deaths of at least 23,000 individuals, amounting to a third of the species of the fruit-eating beet, Pteropus. That is why. And in 2019, between 100,000 to 1 million fish suffocated to death in the Darling River due to depleted dissolved oxygen in the water. I don't know how many of you have visited our Kukrali Lake because of Microcystis aeruginosa, because of the depletion in the oxygen content. The many number of fish we are losing actually each year actually. I don't know, Kukrali Lake itself, you can imagine on a global scale what would be the situation. That's why we have to be very careful. A landmark report from the United Nations Scientific Panel on Climate Change, released in October 2018, emphasized that overshooting of 1.5 degrees centigrade rise in temperature by the end of the century compared to a pre-industrial levels will become the disastrous and will have a devastating effects on ecosystem, communities, and the economics. That's why, dear participants, we are sitting on the time bomb. So that's why Biological Diversity Act has been introduced by the Government of India. Apart from government and non-government organization of all the countries, it is imperative for each one of us to do our best to reduce human-induced environmental degradation, to preserve, protect and conserve our biological diversity. This has to become one of the highest priorities for humanity in coming decades. We are sitting on a time bomb. The world needs to act now to prevent its explosion. So that is why with this background information, as we know only 1.5 million species and we need to know another 5 million species to be understood. That's why there is a slogan, whenever you come across the pollution, the factors, the important drivers, you spot it and stop it. If you are unable to stop it, you have to find it and fight it. Even if you are having fought, if you are not able to deplete the same, you have to trace it and tame it actually. The ultimate is ಪಳಗಿಸುವುದು ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಕರಿತೀವಿ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ. You have to tame it because beyond our control. If it is unable to control, if you are unable to spot it and stop it, if you are unable to find it and fight it, if you are unable to trace it, you have to tame it. This is the very important one aspects that has to be taken care of, because you know very well what would be the situation in understanding the biological diversity. That's why with this background information, with the statistics that I have provided to you, now let me go quickly. The natural resources that are available, the indestructible air, water, destructible, renewable like soil, forest, wildlife, non-renewable minerals actually. See the situation. We want to talk about biodiversity. It's a highly diversified, the very diversified life on the earth planet is called biodiversity. The variability among living organisms from all sources, including terrestrial, marine and other aquatic system and the ecological complexes of which they are a part. This includes diversity within the species, between species and of ecosystem. That is the diversity. See, types of, how do you correlate with the types of biodiversity? There are three important types of biodiversity that are existing: at the genetic diversity, species diversity, and ecosystem diversity. Now, the fourth one is also, we are talking about ethnic diversity also. See the diversity, genetic diversity is nothing but genetic variability or diversity within a species, that is between the individuals of a species. 5,000 recorded varieties of Mangifera indica, 88,000 recorded varieties of Oryzis sativa means paddy. Mangifera indica means mango, mavina annu. See, so much varieties that we are having, but there are species, they are having only one variety. It is being called cultigen anta karitive. Andre the pomegranate ಒಂದು ಮತ್ತೆ banana, we do not have varieties actually. It is only one variety, Panama. That's why we are unable to, those crops have been called cultigen anta kariತೀವಿ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ. So we see species diversity. See diversity between different species. See cat, Felis, ಅದು ಹೆಸರು ಫೆಲಿಸ್. ಫೆಲಿಸ್ ಟೈಗ್ರಿಸ್ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಫೆಲಿಸ್ ಡೊಮೆಸ್ಟಿಕಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ದು ಬೆಕ್ಕು, ಫೆಲಿಸ್ ಟೈಗ್ರಿಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ವೈಲ್ಡ್ ಟೈಗರ್. So see ecosystem diversity. See the grassland. We have the grassland, dry land. North Karnataka, you might have experienced dry land. You can see so much lush green is not there. Shoal of forest andre, due to tremendous air pressure, there cannot be existence of the tall trees actually. Due to wind pressure, here and there some patches are there. That is called the shoal of forest actually. This is the purely grassland. See the diversity, ecosystem, how the habitat, the nature itself, we have found out the variation. This we have come across actually. This is for simply, I have made a presentation for understanding for everyone. Grassland, shoal of forest means, so in the top view of the Western Ghats, where you cannot see the tree species because of the tremendous wind pressure actually. So if you are talking about the facts related to biodiversity, total land area of the earth 510,065,284 square kilometer. Population of the world, as I told you, this is the older one. We are reaching 7.8 billions according to old information. World forest cover, it becomes 39,000 the lakh square kilometer actually. 2619% forest cover in India. So much, 23.6%. 40% of global forest land is in South America, Africa and South Asia. This is the situation. See there are 5 million to 100 million species on earth actually. Only about 1.9 million species have been catalogued so far, means, as I told you, 1.5, almost 1.9 million means we know. We have documented, we have the pictures, we have the documentation of identification, we know them, where are they, how they have been, everything we know, means known species. There are 35 recognized hotspots in the world. So, for 44.4% of the global plant species and 35.3% of vertebrate species are present in the hotspot actually. That's why we call biodiversity. The total land area for India, 328.7 million hectare. India occupies only 2.47% of the world's geographical area and has only 1% of the forest. You can imagine, we are talking about India, the forest area is only 1%. For I told you by 2100 we will be left out on a global level, only 12% left out. The human interference actually. India has 17.48% of the world human population. Now it has been increased. We have occupied number 1 position and 16.9% of the cattle population, 56.6% of the buffalo population, 16.5% of the goat population. First rank in that actually 5.5% of sheep population, 5th rank. So forest cover in India, it goes like 23.57%. India is sharing 12.53% of the world's biodiversity. I'm talking about some glimpses I want to give, and what will be the consequences I want to come back to you. India has 3.9% of grasslands, as I showed in the earlier slide, 2% of the art deserts, 4.1 million hectare of wetland ecosystem. India is the 7th largest country in the world and one among the 17 mega biodiversity centers actually, very important. That's why it is one of the hotspot. Western Ghats is where nearby from the Gujarat Tapti River to Sri Lanka. It runs and more than 100 rivers have been born. It gives the birth to more than 100 rivers. Most of the famous rivers have been born, including Kaveri, Krishna, Godavari, everything. Most of the more than 3,000 medicinal plants that are available in that Western Ghats. Such a great art spot, mega biodiversity centers that we are having. That's a great gesture. It's a great landmark in India, the Western Ghats actually. So with regard to India, 49,000 species of wild plants that are available, naturally available species that are native to India. 89,000 species of wild animals that we are having. At least 320 species of wild relatives of crops have been originated here actually. Native, like we are talking about maize, Namma Jola, it is not native, it's American, Mexican origin. It's not our crop actually. Like sunflower, it's not our crop actually. Like that, many number of species, more than 320 species, we have our own nativity actually. Then when it comes to 1,39,000 species of plants, animals, and microbes have been recorded in India actually. First time we have recorded 1,39,000 that are available in Indian continent actually. More than 4 lakh species are yet to be identified in India. That's what the estimate, working estimate. There are 3 mega centers of endemism and 26 micro centers of endemism that we come across in India alone. That means to say, you can imagine so much we cannot create on our own. Naturally available some of the very important ecosystem that are available. So plant species in India and world, this is very important one. From the bacteria, many number of bacteria are very useful. There are both friends and foes. Some of them are very important, some of them both positive and negative aspects that we come across. Bacteria, viruses, algae, fungi, lichens, bryophyte, pteridophyte, genome. This is the chronological development system that we come across actually. Plant species in India and world that we can imagine. What are all their content and everything we can know. So it goes actually insects, so mollusks, as I told you, what are the importance of the insects that are very important. Seed development without insects, more than 90% actually, that ecosystem service, we are not paying any tax. Amphibians, reptiles, birds, mammals actually. So as I told you, endemism, if the population, if it is restricted to one area, it's called endemism. Endemism is a greater word. Endemism is the ecological state of being unique to a place. In other words, species native to a particular geographical area where you do not find anywhere other than the particular area. Example, king cobra, Indian rosewood, slender loris. These are all available only in the Western Ghats, nowhere else actually. Biodiversity of hotspot anta now kariteve innondu word. The concept of biodiversity hotspots, why I am talking about the 6th mass extinction crisis will be having the threat to these the diversified group of species. I am giving you some background information. What is the range? What is the importance of the biodiversity? The concept of biodiversity hotspot was originated by Norman Mayers in the two articles entitled The Environmentalist 1988 and 1990, revised after thorough analysis by Mayers and others in hotspot, Earth's biological richest and most endangered terrestrial ecoregions. A biodiversity hotspot is a biogeographic region with a significant reservoir of biodiversity that is under threat from humans actually. So hotspots, see 0.5% or 1,500 species. When do you say hotspot? Minimum of 1,500 species of the world's 3 lakh plant species as endemics should be present actually. So how do you say it's a hotspot? Minimum 1,500 species must be there, or 0.5% of the world's population. Degree of threat, hotspots of India, we are having 4. Western Ghats, Namma Hatranalle ide, Eastern Himalayas, Indo-Burma region, Sundaland, Indonesia, Malaysia, parts of India, especially Nicobar Island actually. So this is how it goes actually. So why biodiversity important? Why we are talking about today? So provides, as I told in the beginning, food, fodder, fruit, fuel, timber, medicine, what not? Everything is from the biodiversity. That is the primary synthesizers. They are very important. If you talk about commercial value, oil, because of the fossil forms, we are getting oil, fertilizer extracted from species of plants and animals of the earlier one actually. Biological value, as I told you, pollination mechanism, very beautiful. Otherwise, it's very difficult to survival of the human welfare. Soil formation, nutrient enrichment that we come across, so much importance that we gain from biodiversity. And at the same time, whenever we visit the national park, whenever we go to Bandipura, Nagarwala, recreational value, we cannot estimate in terms of money. Aesthetic value, art, poetry, many number of literatures, including Mahakavya, many number of literature have been written by our poets. Based on poetry, many number of articles because of the aesthetic value. ವರ್ಣಿಸ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನಮ್ಮ ನಾಡಗೀತೆನೆ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ವರ್ಣಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಆನ್ ಬೈ ಲುಕಿಂಗ್ ಅಟ್ ದಿ ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಘಾಟ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಎಸ್ಥೆಟಿಕ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ, scientific value. So today we are talking about genetic engineering. Any gene can be isolated from any organism, can be transferred to any organism. This is the world, because there is no species limitation. There is a delimitation. The violation of species concept, what is called the gene pool. We can have any number of gene pool. The best example you can see, the Spider-Man movie, English movie, you can see what is the importance of gene pool. The one gene is been extracted, is been isolated from Spider-Man, put into human beings, and human has become like a spider. It is very difficult to control him. This is we are going against the nature. This is the very important one. So that is called very important one, gene pool, evolutionary aspect, human welfare. That is, everything is possible. Scientific, so much gene pool we are having because of the diversified environmental group of organisms that are there actually. So as I told you, please remember this important slide. A tree that lives for 50 years generates rupees 5.3 lakhs worth of oxygen. That is why people they are having. I am planting one samples. This time World the Biodiversity Day or International Environmental Day. I will be planting one sample. Rupees 5.3 lakhs worth of oxygen. Facilitates rupees 6.4 lakhs worth of soil erosion control. Creates 10.5 lakhs worth of air pollution control. Provides rupees 5.3 lakhs worth of shelter for birds and animals actually. So that is why recycles rupees 6.4 lakhs worth of fertility. Besides provide flower, fruits and timber. When a tree is fell, it is something worth more than 33.9 lakhs. I have not created. It's an international article comprising of 15,364 scientists have come to conclusion when a tree is fell, there is losing the worth of 33.9 lakhs actually. This is the interesting story. I told you deforestation and overgrazing. There are threats of biodiversity, habitat destruction, fragmentation of the area, the food web chain we will be losing. the chain link we will be losing actually if there is a deforestation. Poaching and hunting of for flesh, fur, skin or nail and recreation, forest fires, including smoking in the woods, over exploitation of the resources actually, and natural calamities like floods, high wind, velocities, earthquake, etc. will be there if you are not taken care of the causal factors or the drivers of sixth mass extinction crisis. Pollution of various kinds and release of toxic substances, soil erosion and loss of soil nutrients actually. Population pressure and unequal distribution of the resources. Construction of hydroelectric power projects, including Kaiga project in the Western Ghats. Spreading urbanization and that's why Madhav Gadgil report is going against the system actually. Encroachment actually. And spreading is including Dr. Kasturingan report. Spreading urbanization and establishment of industries actually, agriculture expansion, climatic changes like depletion of ozone, global warming, global bubbling, increased concentration of carbon dioxide because of heat trapping with the mixing with the solar, the heat water vapor and creating a heat vapor and led to global warming actually. Mining activities and quarrying because of though we have written last but not the least, lack of awareness actually. So see the ecological consequences of reduction in biodiversity. So I told you the diversity in the beginning. Now what is going to happen if there is a reduction in the biological diversity? Ecologically, what are we going to lose? So number one, we will be experiencing more actually. Global warming, we are using the terminology global bubbling. Increased pollution, these are the consequences. Soil erosion, loss of fertility, decomposition rate by microbes is altered. See, ourselves are, see, though we are providing NPK, chemical fertilizer, naturally many number of microorganisms, PGP, they are creating decomposition by altering, they are providing nitrite actually. Nutrient cycling is altered, reduces gene pool, affects speciation, food chain is altered, alteration in the hydrological cycle actually. So see why should we be concerned about the global warming? So what is global warming? Global warming refers to the gradual increase in average temperature. As I told you, 3.7 to 4.5 degrees centigrade by 2100. Global warming refers to the gradual increase in the average temperature in the atmosphere. Increase in the concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. The heat loss from the earth to space is slowed down actually. So why is global warming happening actually? Causes for global climate change, change in the greenhouse gases concentration, variation in solar radiation, deviation in the Earth's orbit. See the Earth's deviation. So what are all the important Earth atmosphere gases, that non-greenhouse gases and the greenhouse gases actually. So you can imagine just the non-greenhouse is about more than 99% and greenhouse gases. And another, the orbital parameters, obliquity. See the changes in the second orbital parameter is obliquity or tilt. The Earth tilt goes from a minimum of 22.5 degree to a 24 degree. That is also an important factor, the global warming. So global warming means that we are experiencing and will experience climate change actually. So there is a difference between see how the carbon dioxide due to the vehicular fossil fuels, coal, oil, natural gas actually. So there is a research and evidence to prove global temperature increased by 0.5 degrees centigrade during the 20th century. The International Panel on Climate and Change, IPCC's report on 2nd February 2007 suggests a possible temperature rise by the end of this century from 1.1 degree to 4 degrees centigrade. How much temperature increase actually? Some models propose up to 9 degree. Two studies, it depends upon the situation. So there are speculation. See, Earth's temperature, radioactive cooling. If amount of solar energy absorbed by the Earth is equal to the amount of radiated back into space, the Earth remains at a constant temperature. So solar energy, however, if the amount of solar energy absorbed is greater than the amount of radiated, then the Earth heats up. This is the situation where we are having in the France. Earth's temperature, it has become reversed. And we are seeing in the newspaper and radio, this is going to happen if you are not taken care of the causal factors actually. This can only be put. So another one, radioactive cooling. If the amount of solar energy absorbed is less than the amount of radiated, then the Earth cools down actually. So that is why we need to know difference between the global warming and the climate change. Global warming is the increase in the Earth's average surface temperature due to a buildup of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, whereas the climate change is a broader term that refers to a long-term changes in the climate, including average temperature and the precipitation. It's a long, once the global warming start affecting, you will find the climate change actually. Then obviously acid rain, there is a pattern of rainfall variation. You are seeing the dry zone. Our Honorable Chief Minister has warned our farmers community not to go for farming unless the reservoirs are being full. That's why, see the situation actually, difference. So why should we should care? This is the situation. That's why, what is the proof that global warming is taking place? See, this is the picture taken in the Kilimanjaro in 1970. So much there was no without destruction at that time. So see the situation now, ice on Kilimanjaro. There is no ice at all. This is the changing scenario. These are the way evidences are being provided, given by the scientific community to show the Kilimanjaro millimeter per year for the past century, and more recently at the rate estimated nearly 2.8 to 3.1 millimeter per year actually. This is how the system, there is a rise in the sea level actually. So is she melting? Yes. Gravity measured by satellite found in melting Antarctica equivalent to sea level rise of 0.4 millimeter. Confirmed Antarctica melting. Greenland ice melting is also there. So this is the see the situation. I have taken the picture from there actually. See the sea level rise projections actually. So 2 feet US would lose 10,000 square miles. 3 feet would inundate Miami, affects erosion, loss of waterlands, fresh water. Half of the world's population lives along coast. Big question, ice sheets actually. See the impacts of climate change actually. Impact rise temperature just 1.58 degree to 4 degree. Forest, biodiversity, agriculture, costless. Global impact is very high. If there is a rise in the temperature just 1 degree, the largest glacier on Mount Kenya has lost 92% of its mass. Sea levels have risen by 10 to 25 centimeter. The thickness of sea ice in the Arctic has decreased by 40%. And common mule has advanced breeding by 24 days per decade over the past 50 years in response to higher temperature. You know, people are the maturity level in India. I'm talking about with the girls. It has become advanced because of variation in the environment actually. Now, at the age of earlier, for our young elder sisters used to get matured at the age of 15, 16. Now, in the 8 years, 6 standard, 7 standard, these are all the factors we can experience ourselves actually. This is routine, our home problem I'm talking about. The Baltimore Oriole is the shifting northward and may soon disappear entirely from the Baltimore area. Such a beautiful bird, we are going to lose it actually. Polar bear population are coming under the threat as food becomes harder to hunt actually. So wild effects, polar bears require pack ice to live, might eventually go extinct. Sea turtle, as I lost one in the recently. So this is a very important one. So like this, there are consequences, biological climate change impact. Rajasthan will become drought. Ran of Kutch sea level rise. Mumbai saltwater intrusion. Kerala productivity of forest. Tamil Nadu coral bleaching. Ganges sedimentation problem. Sundarban sea level rise. North West India reduction in the rice yield actually. It goes of Kalu Valley and apple growers says. So Himalayan source of the Ganga is drying up at a rate of 40 yards a year. Some of these glaciers might disappear by 2030. In the dry summer months, the Gangotri glacier provides up to 70% of the water of the Ganga. See, Gangotri, our own place. As I told you, Kilimanjaro, this is the source of New Indian Express actually. So this is, we are talking about the global warming and also temperature. Increased pollution, soil erosion and loss of fertility, decomposition rate microbes is altered because we are diminishing because of pouring of chemical fertilizer NPK, and we are losing our natural player soldiers, we are losing. Nutrient cycling is altered, reduces gene pool, affect the speciation, food chain is altered, alteration in the hydrologic cycle. So what is ozone? Ozone, as I told you, there is a OK in the system. So very important one. What are the causes of ozone depletion, health consequences, skin cancers, DNA mutation of existing diseases of bacteria and viruses. We are experiencing, we are not aware because of the many reasons. We might, out of ignorance, we don't know. Herpes viruses, human immunodeficiency viruses, variety of papilloma viruses, leishmaniasis, malaria, forms of tuberculosis, leprosy, lupus erythematodes, dermatitis, E. coli, Staphylococcus aureus. So biological consequences, biologically damaging young, new shoots, southern oceans, most productive marine ecosystem, less phytoplankton, food for microscopic animals. Like this 6% ozone depletion will lead to loss of 7 million tons of fish per year. So what can we do for these problems of use cleaner energy, smart transportation, land use? Kindly go for pooling. Nowadays people are talking in USA, pooling. It's like an ambulance. They'll give importance to those who are traveling minimum of 5 members in a car. They will be given importance like ambulance. If a single person is driving, no importance. They are trying to avoid a single driving and all those. They are using pool driving, fire station, watch less TV, use less air conditioner, and turn off the light when you are leaving the room. Take public transport, very important. Use less microwave oven, restore a damaged environment. And acid rain, another important problem, So that is the effects of acid rain. We have a number of problem with this system. Especially humans can become seriously ill, can die from effects of acid rain. There are many consequences. Acid rain effects on sculptures and fish. We losing of these actually. What are the solution to all these problems actually? So that's why in 1992 Rio de Janeiro climate change attended by 132 heads of states of delegates from 160 nations, including India. We are the treaty for the same international cooperation in technology, development and transfer, economic cooperation. So what else? So that's why Copenhagen Climate Change Conference that took place in 2009, they have come out with many recommendations. And finally, what next? So everybody speaks development, development, development. As I told you, it's settled. Each time people of the different nations, they sit together and they come to conclusion. We agree to sign a pledge to hold another meeting to consider changing course at a date yet to be determined. That is in an ironic way, I can only say people are sitting, but there is no change in the implementation part actually. That's why world leaders, they have to take it very seriously. So healthy environment means energy conservation, pollution control, water resources, biodiversity conservation, rainwater harvesting, environmental laws, world conservation strategy, solid waste management, sustainable development is the one important one. So a day may not far. If you are for day-to-day life, we might carry a day might not be far to carry the oxygen in the near future. That's what the system. See, namma ella Kannada bere other than the life science students. See, life started from the water. See, like that we are leaving now from Manganinda Manava. Now again we are going back to water to hide, to escape from the global warming. Again there will be a situation, ಒಂದು ವಾತಾವರಣ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ನೀರಿನಲ್ಲೇ ಬದುಕುವಂತ ವಾತಾವರಣನ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಲೈಫ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗೋದು ನೀರಿಂದ. Because of global warming and global bubbling and climate change, again human beings are going back to water. So that is why. So this is the about the sixth mass extinction crisis, biodiversity and its association with the human welfare actually. Biodiversity and its association with the biodiversity and human welfare. If you have any questions, you are most welcome. I've been warned to stop actually. Informed to stop. If you are having any queries, you are most welcome. I'm here to open for discussion. You are most welcome. Any clarity? Hope you have understood the importance of the sixth mass extinction crisis, biodiversity and its impact, consequences and everything actually. Question. On time bit one. Late ಆಯ್ತು ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷ. ಹೌದಾ? Any questions? I have taken 10 minutes. That's what the office people are telling.